remember. What else did we put on our shopping list? Oh, what a mouth-watering smell. Paimon would know the aroma of biryani anywhere. Let's go get... we can still add it to the list.
Well, if it isn't the Traveler and Paimon. Wasn't expecting to see you here.
Hello there. Oh, it's been quite a while.
Huh, so you two are still hanging out together. Dehya, didn't you say last time that you were gonna head back to the desert?
I said I was going to resign from being her bodyguard, not that our friendship was over. We're still the best of friends. The Homayanis also still post jobs from time to time. Their pay is always generous, so me and the other mercs never pass them up.
I told Dehya to just stay at our place when she took one of those jobs a few days ago. My parents were delighted. They even said that it always felt like we were missing someone whenever Dehya wasn't around.
That sounds like something they would say, all right. Anyway, the job is already taken care of, so I was gonna head back to the brigade as soon as I finished a little shopping. But the master kept insisting, and I ended up staying for another day.
You can stay for as many days as you want, Dehya. Father hasn't even gotten around to treating you to his best dishes yet.
You know I'm not the kind of person to stay put in one place like that, my lady. Don't worry, though. There'll always be next time.
But she said they'll treat you to the best dishes! I can't believe you can still refuse that!
But wait. Didn't you say last time that you would take me on a trip to the desert? Why don't you just take me with you today? There are so many places I still haven't visited yet.
I'm sorry, my lady, but no can do. There's still a few things I need to take care of back at the brigade. Besides, the desert hasn't exactly been the most peaceful place lately.
Oh, come on. Not this again. That's also what you said last time and the time before that.
I know, I'm sorry. Just give me some more time, and I promise I'll plan the best trip ever for you.
All right, fine. To be perfectly honest, it's not that I wanted to go, it's more like... I feel like something is off about you lately. Ever since you first set foot on the estate a few days ago, you've been acting anxious and even paranoid. Have you been delaying our trip because you've run into some kind of trouble?
Nah, are you kidding? You're worrying too much.
Would you swear on that? Friends shouldn't lie to each other, you know. I wouldn't pry any further if you're willing to swear on what you just said. But if something really is bothering you, then just tell me. You know I'll help you however I can.
Oh, looks like Dunyarzad was onto something.
You're too perceptive, my lady. Seems I can't hide anything from you. I just thought that nothing good could come out of telling you about the messy happenings of mercenaries. Knowing too much only leads to more trouble. Mercenary life is a dog-eat-dog world where Mora reigns supreme. Everything operates on a completely different set of rules.
That doesn't change anything about what I just said, though. We're still friends, and I can only support you if I understand what's bothering you.
My lady, you're not gonna stop until you drag it out of me, are ya? All right, I'll share what I know. Let's go somewhere else first. This isn't exactly the best place for a discussion. Okay, let's talk here. Just try not to draw any extra attention. As you may already know, the Eremites have both a lot of mercenaries and a complex organizational structure. Many mercs are no different than me, just going around looking for jobs to earn some mora. My brigade is called the Blazing Beasts. We're not a large group, but every member is loyal and brave. However, not all Eremite brigades are like mine. Some are willing to cross all kinds of lines for the sake of mora. The most notorious is a faction known as Deshret's Relics.
Deshret's Relics? Judging from the name, they must really look up to...
Yep, you got it. I've heard that you've already crossed paths with Ain al-Akmar. They're one of the groups under the Relic's banner.
Oh, You mean the group that tried to sell us the Divine Knowledge Capsule? Yeah, they weren't friendly at all.
Deshret's Relics is composed of many smaller brigades like Ain al-Ahmar. The Relic's headquarters issues orders to all brigades under his... On any other day, I would want nothing to do with them. Unfortunately, though, the brigade that's stirring up trouble now is none other than Dehya al-Ahmar.
Dakan?
I think it means beard or something. Believe me, it's a really stupid name. I found it insufferable for years. Anyway, the real issue is that Dehya al-Ahmar is led by my father, Kusela.
Say what now?
I think I'm starting to understand your anxiety now. But what did they do?
I won't go into details, my lady, but they've been involved in a lot of violent incidents. We're talking hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yep. The scenes tend to be quite gruesome, too. They strip the victims of all their valuables before murdering them. Not only have they targeted merchant caravans and ordinary citizens, but other mercenary brigades as well.
That's beyond terrible. They won't even spare their own kind.
I don't know how Deshret's Relic sees it. All I do know is that Dehya al-Ahmar has become more and more aggressive over the last few years. If I don't do something about them, then even my brigade or the people of Aru village could become their next target. I just wish I knew what's driven him to do this.
Yeah. How can your father do such terrible things?
I don't know. People change. He's always been pretty pathetic. But at least in the past, there were still a few lines that he wouldn't cross.
That's setting the bar pretty low.
I mean, if he was even remotely decent, then why would I have to leave the brigade and cut all ties with him? He was loud and foolish, with no real sense of purpose. Instead of doing anything useful, he spent most of his time drinking and chasing after women. Of course, the other brigade members were just like him. Their ruckus would go on night after night.
Sounds like a nightmare.
What about your mother? Did she ever step in to stop them?
Unfortunately, I never knew my mother.
I'm sorry, Dehya. I didn't know.
It's all right, my lady. That's pretty common in mercenary circles. Didn't I mention that my father was chasing after women? I was the result of one of those encounters with some random person. He told me that he wasn't sure who my mother was. And in any case, she never came to see me. He'd say, "You'll be fine as long as you remember to stick with Dad." But even then, he left most of the parenting to the brigade. The one thing I do remember is that he used to tell me stories. But the problem was that he had terrible taste. He only knew a few stories, and even those tended to be pretty stale. They were tales of desert warriors defeating dragons in the forest, or stories of mercenaries rescuing princesses from rebel armies.
Sounds like your typical fairy tales.
More or less, yeah. They were interesting maybe the first or second time around, but after about 20 repeats, they started to get a little dull. He seemed to think those stories were the best things ever, though. He was so into them that he'd call the whole brigade over and make them perform the whole thing as a play. Even the toys he gave me would all be story props. I'd get helmets, shields, and toy swords. It was only much later when I realized that the shows were more for him than they ever were for me.
What an interesting guy.
Yeah, I've always found him pretty childish, but that was something I could just shrug off. I had no reason to despise him, until I grew up and learned the true face of Deshret's Relics for myself. Looting, blackmail, violence, and fraud. They not only accepted such heinous acts, no one in the brigade was any kind of hero. Instead, my father and his cronies were more like the bad guys that needed to be taken down. Did they really think that as long as they didn't do any of that stuff right in front of me, I would never know?
I think I can understand your feelings. The difference between perception and reality must have hit hard.
Yeah, but don't worry, my lady. It's all water under the bridge to me now. I had a huge argument with my father and left that place behind for good. I'm not investigating them due to any bitter feelings I still have towards my father. I just want to protect those that are close to me. Yeah, I told the boys to gather as much information as they could. Most of the reports concern violent incidents, but there's also some talk of smuggling.
I see. But isn't this investigation incredibly dangerous?
It is, but every mercenary lives life on the edge. It's a lifestyle that I enjoy.
That may be true, but it'll be impossible for those who care about you not to worry.
Well, now you get why I didn't want to share any of this with you.
What should we do? They both have valid concerns.
Huh? But there's no need for you to get caught up in the...
Well, she's super tough, so if she went into the desert with you, then Paimon bets the problem will be solved in no time.
I'm inclined to agree. I'd feel a lot more at ease if you took her along to help. I'll wait for news from you in the city until then. Please, stay safe.
I'm honored that you care so much for me, my lady. All right, then let's get moving. Our first stop will be Caravan Rebot, where we can catch up a bit with my fellow mercs.
Hey, Dehya, you're back. Are these two friends of yours? Oh, so you've already become like one of us then? Anyway, since we've got a newcomer, let me fill you in on what the Khan al-Ahmar's been up to lately. They've become extremely aggressive. Apparently, even their own now have become acceptable targets. They even attack other relics brigades, just the same as any other mercenary brigade.
Even the most ferocious beasts still protect their own. But it sounds like they've thrown that straight to the wind.
That's right. Once they've collected enough loot off the other mercenaries, they sell it off to a different brigade, or turn to merchants on the black market. A portion of their profits is immediately exchanged for more food and weaponry to be used in their next violent operation.
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it really makes you wonder why they're so desperate for Mora. A few days ago, Isham and I trailed them for a while, and even disguised ourselves as merchants to conduct trade with them. We were able to learn a few things from the exchange. Rather than saying they're out to plunder and hoard Mora, it'd probably be more accurate to say that they're experiencing an internal power struggle.
Now, if only the deputy could figure out a way to bring a few more smoking hot members into our ranks.
Keep dreaming. Remember the last time I invited a couple gals into the brigade? You all just froze up with your mouths gaping like a bunch of scarecrows. The awkward silence and weird expressions left quite the impression on them. They were originally interested in joining us, but after that, they both told me they were too uncomfortable.
Hey, didn't we agree to never bring that up again?
Huh? Wait, are you serious? Why have I never heard about this?
I don't think you were part of the brigade yet.
Are you kidding me? I missed a once-in-a-lifetime moment like that and you weren't even gonna tell me?
All right. We can tell you about it later. Now's not the time.
Hey, don't you try to change the subject. You and Hisham get your butts over here and tell me everything right now.
Are they always like this?
More or less. There aren't many rules or graces when it comes to mercenaries. We're used to just speaking our minds. If someone starts getting under your skin, you just yell right back at them. And if that doesn't put an end to it, then you just challenge them to a fight. But we also don't tend to take many things too seriously. Being direct and getting it all out of your system as soon as things come up is better than keeping everything bottled up, never talk. That's also why I never spare their feelings when I talk to them. If I want to laugh, I'll laugh. If I'm angry, then I'll unload on them. Hey, knuckleheads! Can you at least tell me the rest of the intel before you go back to your bickering?
You're the Flame Bane.
Good. That saves me an introduction. All right, time for a little talk. Are you buddies with Khan al-Ahmar now?
You know the code of being a mercenary just like everyone else. The first rule is to never divulge key information about our employer.
That might have worked on an amateur, but I know you're just looking to protect your reputation. Think about it, though. What's your reputation worth if you won't have the other tools you need to succeed in this line of work? Tools like, I don't know, your limbs or eyes? You've got 5 seconds. You might want to think twice about how much your employer's information is worth to you.
Whoa!
I'm not joking around. We can do this the easy way or the painful way. 2 seconds!
I'll save you the trouble.
Huh? Are you crazy? He tried to bite off his own tongue. Quick, search the area for any first aid supplies. I definitely didn't expect him to go that far. Thankfully, the wound wasn't too deep, and he just passed out from the pain.
But why would he be so extreme?
I just wanted to test his mettle. You can get a lot of mercenaries to talk just by threatening them. I didn't expect him to be willing to go through so much pain just to deny us some intel.
Well, he's out cold for now. We could wait for him to wake up, but maybe it's not a good idea to interrogate him any further.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be a waste of time to interrogate him again after that. He might just hurt himself again if we start asking. There are lots of goods around here. Let's search the area. Maybe we'll be able to find something. I'm really sorry.
We found a piece of paper with a bunch of names on it. Maybe it's a record of something.
Let me take a look. If this really is a merchant caravan, they should have a record of their transactions. Yep. I see an entry for Dakana Lakmar right here. Kusela, Idrisi, Bashar, and Takriti. All familiar names. Dakana Lakmar has been trading for a hefty supply of food, weapons, and medicine. It seems that in the past, they used to receive some canned knowledge as well. This caravan is just one link in their logistics chain. Once in the rainforest, the caravan will exchange the looted goods for Mora. That person will then pack the caravan full of necessary goods. Wait, why is there no Mora value recorded for the final transaction?
No value?
Yeah, every transaction before the last one was marked with an exact amount of Mora, but the final one, where they paid for everything to be brought back to the desert, perhaps. But they couldn't have known how much they would make off selling the loot. Do they not care about profit margins at all? Anyway, the next part's the records of the goods themselves. There are a lot of entries. Everything was probably sourced from the rainforest. Huh?
What's wrong?
Shahzaman Homayani?
Homayani? You mean Dunyarzad's family? Could it just be another family with the same last name?
I'd be surprised to find someone with the exact same first and last name. Shahzaman Homayani is Dunyarzad's father, and the head of the Homayani family. Just what the heck is going on here? I'm sorry, you're right. I'll consider what we found and not jump to conclusions just yet. But what this piece of paper confirms is that the Homayani family has been providing goods to Dakana Lakmar.
What if the Homayanis have been kept in the dark and don't know they've been trading with Dakana Akhmar?
That's a possibility, but if that was the case, why is this caravan specifically named Shahzaman as their person of contact? They could have just as easily bought goods such as food and medicine directly from Caravan Ribat or Port Ormos. Yeah, funding violence and looting. The brigade gets the goods, and he is paid the proceeds from the sale of the loot.
But why would he do something like this? It's not like the Homayanis are in need of money.
I honestly have no idea. I've been to their estate many times, and I've never noticed anything suspicious. The only potentially large expenditure I could think of would be the treatment costs for Dunyarzad's Elazar. Maybe they borrowed a lot of Mora in the past? But that's still just a speculation. I don't think the Master would stoop so low to make Mora. You're probably right. I know my lady's personality, and she wouldn't deliberately keep something like this from us.
But what should we do now? All we found is just another mystery.
If you ask me, We already have no choice but to confront her about this. I'm not worried. It's too early to make a verdict yet. I still have faith in the Homayanis. Let's go find my lady again. We'll tell her everything and see if she's willing to lend us her support. If we're lucky, we can not only figure out the mystery of this paper, but also follow the trail of breadcrumbs to the people responsible at Dakan al-Akmar.
Dehya, are you sure this is the best decision? What if instead of getting the help we need, we just end up revealing everything we've discovered to the enemy?
I've considered that possibility. But even still, I want to tell her what we found. I think I owe her that much. She showed genuine concern for me when we first brought up the topic. I can't repay her kindness with doubt and suspicion. That's not how I deal with people.
You're right. Paimon wants to trust Dunyarzad too.
Yeah. Let's pay another visit to Sumeru City. We're back, my lady.
Oh, you're back a lot sooner than I expected. You mustn't have run into any trouble then. Well, how did it go? What did you come up with?
Actually, we're still investigating. It's just that we've discovered something strange.
I see. The clues you found have led you back here. And
Something like that. Yeah.
you all look a little dispirited. Whatever you found must not have been very encouraging after all. Why don't you discuss it with me? Maybe I'll be able to say something to cheer you up?
It's okay, my lady. It's not so much about me being upset with my father or anything like that.
So something is wrong. Even the Traveler and Paimon have been uncharacteristically quiet. On any other day, Paimon would have already waved to me with a smile and shouted, "Dunyarzad, we're back!" So tell me, what happened?
Well?
My lady, please prepare yourself for what we're going to tell you next. It concerns the Master.
The Master? Okay, I understand. Don't worry about me. I'll listen as attentively as I can. My father has been supplying goods to Dakan al-Akmar?
Yeah, it makes as little sense to us as it does to you. I've never doubted the Master's integrity, so I'm having a real hard time rationalizing how he could ever support an infamous brigade like them. Maybe he's not actually aware of the full story and just stumbled into the deal by accident.
I can't help but agree with the Traveler.
Huh? You mean you feel the same way, Dunyarzad?
Thank you for sharing all this information with me. Since you've told me everything you know, I should also tell you about some doubts that I've been harboring for quite a while. In the past, I thought that my father hired a bodyguard for me so that I wouldn't run away and get lost. However, there are plenty of capable mercenaries in the Corps of 30. Why did my father go out of his way to hire Dehya?
About that. Well, the Homayanis really needed bodyguards, so they reached out to the Blazing Beasts. Later, the Master told me that I was one of the best mercenaries he'd ever seen, and that I should stick around to become one of his bodyguards. He offered me a pile of mora, so I just signed on. Thank you for coming, sir. Please allow me to introduce these two. This is the Traveler, and next to her is her travel companion, Paimon.
Yes, my daughter has mentioned them from time to time. But we may skip all the pleasantries for now. What is the important matter you wish to discuss with me today?
Well, we wanted to bring this transaction record to your attention. There's something on this record that we're all pretty curious about.
So, that's what you found. Huh. Seems like I can't keep everything from you much longer.
If you wouldn't mind, we'd like an explanation.
Well, it's a long and difficult story. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. What I do know, though, Dehya, is that the truth will bring you no solace. If anything, it will likely cause you a great amount of anguish.
Wait, me?
Yes, I understand perfectly why you came to see me. And I am touched by your collective commitment to do the right thing. But knowledge always comes at a price. And sometimes, as they say, ignorance is bliss. Your father, Kusela, and I both believed that. Of course, you have the right to seek and learn the truth, but I must warn you. The facts of this matter may reduce everything you've built for yourself into sand, blowing in the wind. If you must proceed, then Kusela's heartfelt efforts will also fade into the wind like a fleeting mirage.
His heartfelt efforts? I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not sure I follow. I've made it this far in life without a single drop of my father's support. I have my own ideals and ways of looking at the world, as well as people and causes that I've chosen to cherish and fight for. I came here today to support you as the head of the Homayani family. No warning will change my stance on that.
I understand. Then let me tell you a little story. Our family once needed to take a trip to the desert when Dunyarzad was just a baby. Along the way, we were attacked by bandits. They had superior numbers and quickly overpowered our bodyguards. When all seemed lost, a group of passerby Eremites lent us their support. Those Eremites were Kusela's brigade, Dekan al-Ahmar. Kusela's men told me that the attackers were Eremite mercenaries, just like themselves. I was shocked. Why would Dekan al-Ahmar go so far to save us? And Kusela was grinning and walked over to play with baby Dunyarzad. She was startled by his unfamiliar face and nearly started crying.
Really? I never knew.
He said that he had no particular reason to help us. He just took pity on us because he had a daughter about the same age. We started talking about our children, and I sensed that he was a devoted father. To repay his kindness, I hired his brigade to help out at our estate for a time, and...
So, that's what happened.
It was many years before I saw him again. I almost didn't recognize him the next time he came knocking on my door. The man I knew to be strong and healthy had been reduced to a shell of himself. He couldn't even walk anymore without his cane.
So, what happened to him? He was perfectly fine when I left the brigade.
I'm not too sure myself. The only thing that didn't change was his cheery disposition. He said there was absolutely nothing to worry about and that he had gotten into a fight. That was all. He then suddenly asked me if Dunyarzad, now that she had grown, would need a bodyguard of her own. At the time, Dunyarzad was going through a particularly severe bout of her Elazar. There was no need for her to have a bodyguard when she could barely leave the house. But he kept coming back to the topic. Come on, it never hurts to be safe. How do you know a bodyguard won't come in handy one day? I was completely lost at first, until he recommended the Blazing Beasts, and in particular, a mercenary named Dehya.
So he was the one who recommended Dehya to you.
Indeed. He didn't say it out loud, but it was clear that he saw Deshret's relics as an evil group who would eventually corrupt every member in their ranks. He was already beyond redemption, but he hoped that he would be able to detach his daughter from the vicious world of mercenary life. If Dehya could stay in my house and keep working as a bodyguard, then gradually her affinity for the desert would decrease, and she'd be able to leave her previous life behind.
And that's why you offered her such generous compensation?
Yes, but not just because of that. From the moment that he asked me for that favor, I also began to see Dehya as my own daughter. And that's also why I tried to persuade you to stay when you asked for permission to leave. I was willing to spend however much it took.
Seems like we're in luck. That should be their camp right up ahead. Let's go. We'll finally get to the bottom of this ourselves.
She's so strong!
Enough fighting. We all know each other, and I don't want to take things too far. Just bring Kusela to me. There's no use hiding him anymore. Did you understand a single word I just said? Or do I need to bash your skull in some more?
All right, everyone, let's all just calm down for a second. Dehya, the boss can't come out and see you anymore. He died a long time ago.
What?
Seems like you've been out of the loop for a while. Guess that's for the best, though. At least, that's what the old man wanted.
When did he die? What happened to him?
A few years ago, Kusela broke up Dakan al-Ahmar and went to the Deshret's Relics headquarters by himself.
So is that when you guys started acting up?
We would prefer to call it taking revenge. Every last person in Deshret's Relics must pay in blood for what they did.
Let me start from the beginning. Dehya, do you know how the head of the Relics maintained order internally?
Overwhelming strength and unquestionable authority?
Those were a part of it, yes. But just those on their own weren't enough. They had another tool at their disposal. They called, regardless of whether they joined by their own will or were coerced, every person in Deshret's Relics were forced to leave a record of themselves at headquarters. Whether it be their deepest sin, some unforgivable act, or their most immoral exploit, the record served both as a symbol of loyalty and the perfect material for blackmail. That's precisely it. Every one of us have a record. Me, Bashar, Tikriti, and all the boys who grew up with Dehya and ended up joining our ranks. But you, Dehya, you were never asked to provide a record, were you?
I never even knew this was a requirement.
You were probably the only person in all of Deshret's Relics who didn't know about it.
Ever since you were born, Boss had been trying to shield you from this organization's sinister rules. Not only that, but he also banned all of us from committing any nefarious acts. He said he'd take care of the dues we had to pay regularly to headquarters. But in the end, he was just an ordinary person. What could he do? He was forced to go to headquarters again and again to account for missed dues and incomplete records. He'd come up with all kinds of excuses.
We all knew he was doing that for you. He wanted to get you out of this world, no matter what it took.
And that's why he became a shell of himself and couldn't walk without a cane.
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. I didn't know about any of this, and I'd never seen him get injured or beaten.
Because you were too young at the time. How would you ever tell between wounds from a beating and wounds from battle? When you left home after that final argument with him, he seemed to age by a decade overnight. Even his hair went gray.
So, even the blazing beasts were...
Yep. It was all his doing. Had he not arranged them to come to you, you probably would have been reduced to a pulp before you ever left the desert.
A few years ago, Boss said he needed to make another trip to headquarters. He was already pretty weak then, and we all assumed he was going to get beaten again. I suggested that he hand the role of leadership over to me, but he said there was no longer any need, since Dakan al-Ahmar would soon be no more. His words made no sense to me. But that night, we heard that a massive fire tore through headquarters and razed everyone's records to ash.
Everyone gained their freedom that night. Many members fled, not just from our ranks, but from the other brigades as well. But how could we leave with a clear conscience? All of us who knew exactly what had happened.
The boss can't have just died for nothing. Those heartless jerks at headquarters took him from us.
From that point on, the sole purpose of Dakan al-Ahmar became revenge. The big fire that Boss started was quite a blow to headquarters' strength. It's given us the opportunity to launch our attack. Even though we're outnumbered, we vowed to see our revenge through to the very end.
Wow. Paimon didn't expect it to look like this on the inside.
They should all be holed up in here. Don't know how many people they've got left, though.
Who cares? We'll round up all of them.
Still, we should be careful. Even if they've only got one shot left, it could still take us out.
Yeah, we'll know what they're really capable of once we've landed some hits on them. Deshret's relics may have been a force to be reckoned with before, but their name means nothing now.
Yeah, they don't stand a chance with you here. I'll take the lead. I've been here once before. This way, follow me! We're almost there.
didn't. They went charging ahead without checking for any traps.
Hey, you guys okay?
It seems like we just got trapped in here. Don't think we triggered anything else.
Watch out, the enemy's coming from ahead.
Well, now that things have come to this, seems we'll have to fight our way through.
Don't worry about us. We knew something like this could happen. Go and take a look around. Let's go! We can't let the boss down!
Let's check if there's another way. The sooner we can make it through to help them, the better.
Let's see. I think I see a way through over there, but it's being blocked by something. Let's try our luck with that mechanism.
Okay, let's go!
I wasn't expecting anyone to make it through from the other side. But as a desert dweller, I suppose we should be used to our folks defying all expectations.
Don't waste your breath. You have nowhere to run.
Run? Had I wanted to run, I would have fled 1,000 times already. I witnessed the golden age of Deshret's relics. Even if I could leave this place behind, all that awaits me now are endless days of humiliation and Even now, my brothers and I still believe in one thing. The greatest should never live to remember their fall.
So you want to go out in a blaze of glory.
Let us draw our weapons! We will show them the true power King Deshret bestowed upon his follower. They are but two, while we hold within ourselves.
The commander has finally fallen.
But they're still coming at us! This place is like a gladiator's ring. They just keep coming no matter how many we beat!
Get out of my way!
Come and face me, Michel! Ugh, so they've broken through the front as well.
Apologies, Lord Michal. They fight like absolute madmen!
Who are you filthy rats? And why are you always pestering us?
You call yourself a member of the infamous Deshret's relics and you still can't even tell who's made it all the way to your headquarters?
Who knows what intent a bunch of rats may have? We try to catch a couple, and you all just show up on the other side instead. How are we supposed to figure out what you're after? Hey, have you ever heard of a man by the name of Kusela? Why would I know? It's not like I'm in charge or anything.
This is your last chance.
Hey, I said I don't know anything. I'm just an average member here. I'm telling the truth. If you're here to find someone, why don't you look through the records yourselves? Who can remember every name and face with so many people coming in and out every day?
The irony. His life became a light for so many, yet to others, it wasn't even worth remembering. Where's the records room? And
It's right over there. All the files are in there. You can go through them as much as you want. It's not like any of them still matter anyway.
I mean the old records room.
The old records room? You mean the one that got burned down? Kusela. Ah, yeah, I remember him now. The guy who could hardly walk. Watch your mouth. That's our boss you're talking about. He was definitely faking it. We all let our guard down as soon as we saw him come hobbling in. But in the short time it supposedly took him to take a dump, he'd already gotten away and started a fire in the records room. He couldn't have possibly outrun us if he wasn't a fraud. And after that, Deshret's relics fell into complete disarray.
Stop wasting our time. Every one of us here is perfectly aware of what he had done. Tell me, where is the old records room?
It's just over there. Go see it for yourself if it means that much to you. There's nothing left in there but ashes. No human could ever survive that kind of inferno. Bashar, Tikriti, let's go. We'll leave the others here to guard these guys. Spare them no mercy if they try anything.
So, this was his final destination. How did he do it? Getting past all the guards with a limp and sneaking in here to start a fire? If he was nimble enough to do that, then he must have been able to get out of here after starting the fire, right?
Dehya.
I'm sorry. I know it's just wishful thinking. Let's look around.
Is this a cane? It must be the one that Dehya's father used.
Kusela.
Thanks for everything, boss.
We're fortunate to somehow find that cane after that fire.
Let's split up and look around some more. What if something else has been left behind?
But what else could survive a fire like that?
Huh? Thought so.
Wait! Isn't that the toy sword you played with as a child?
The dragon is no more, for Princess Dehya has slain it. Its head now hangs above the city gates. Her bravery has brought eternal peace and prosperity to us all. Dehya, come on. This is the most important line.
You can do it.
But Dehya, you defeated the dragon. Everyone's waiting for your speech. Still too shy, huh? All right, I'll do it. I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more.
I hereby proclaim our victory. Evil shall plague us no more.